right, today's video is Chapter 4, Lesson 4D. In this lesson, we're going to be finding percent of a number, finding some percent of a number. So let's start off and do some mental math percents. Mental math, and I'll start you off with something like 50%. So let's try to, in our heads, figure out 50% of 90. What would 50% of 90 be? Well, it'd be 45. How did we figure that out? 50% is like half. We're doing half of 90. We're also taking 90 and dividing by 2. Cutting it in half is dividing by 2. All right, let's try another one, another 50%. What would 50% of 160 be? Half of 160 is 80. So you can either think half of 160, you could think 160 divided by 2. 50% of 160 is 80. Okay, let's do a couple more. Let's do 50% of 20, but then let's do 50% of an odd number. So far I've been doing all things that end in zeros. Let's do 50% of 15. Okay, see if you can answer them before I write it down. Half of 20 is 10. Half of 15 is 7.5 or 7.5. Okay, another mental math question would be 10%. Okay, if we're going to find 10% of something, 10 means I'm going to hop one time, 1 hop, and I'm going to actually hop left because I'm taking that percent sign away, and in essence I'm making it a decimal, so I'm going to hop left. So let's try to figure out 10% of 12. 10% of 12, one hop puts the decimal right there, 1.2. Let's do 10% of 50. 10% of 50. One hop to the left is 5, or 5.0. It's just that math books won't say 5.0. They'll drop the 0.0. Let's do 10% of, let's do 10% of 45. One hop to the left, 4.5. Okay, if you can figure out 10%, the next one that's kind of easy is 20%. All you're going to do is find 10% and then times it by 2 or double it. So our procedure is going to be find 10% first, then double. So let's find 20% of 30. Well, 10%, remember, is one hop to the left. That would be 3. Doubled is 6. Let's do 20% of 90. One hop left, doubled is 18. 20% of 90 is 18. A lot of times if you go to a restaurant with your parents, they might tip the waiter or waitress 20%. And now you're going to be able to figure out the tip in your head. Okay, let's do another category. Let's do 25%. Okay, I've got a couple of ways of figuring it out, but I think the best way, our strategy should be to find 50%. Remember that was cut it in half, divide by 2. Find 50%, then 50% again. We're going to cut it in half and cut it in half again. Half and half again. So let's try 25% of 80. Well, half is 40. Half of 40 is 20. So 25% of 80, first we cut it in half, then we go half again. Final answer is 20. Let's do 25% of 120. Cut it in half, then cut it in half again. Did you figure it out yet? 30, because half is 60 and half again is 30. Let's do one more. 25% of 600. Let's go really big, 600. Half and half again. Did you figure it out? 150. Because half is 300 and half again, half of 300 is 150. But then some of your homework is going to look like this. 32% of 90. Well, this is not mental math. We need to have a paper pencil strategy for 32%. I'm going to show you two options and you decide which option sticks better in your brain because they are both fabulous ways to do it. Strategy 1 is, I'm going to call it the decimal multiply strategy. For option 2 is the two fraction and multiply strategy. So what do they have in common? We're multiplying. The word of is a code word for multiply. Anytime you see of tells you to multiply. Okay, so I'm going to work each one of them out on this question. If I change 32% into a decimal, I get 0.32. Then I'm going to multiply that by 90. Well, I can't do it sideways. I'm going to do it up and down. I don't know why I put the 90 on top. I could have put 32 on top for all. That's kind of silly of me. Okay, 2 times 0, 2 times 9, 0 placeholders, 3 times 0, 3 times 9. Add them up. Do the counting method. I have 2 behind the dot, so I need 2 behind the dot. 28.80 or 28.8. Okay, I'm going to come over here and do the two fraction method. 32% is 32 over 100. Percents are always out of 100. Multiply by 90, but that looks kind of weird, so let's put it as 90 over 1. Okay, now I'm going to multiply straight across, unless we want to cross cancel. So I'm going to make this a 9 and make this a 10. I'm dividing by 10 right away, simplifying by 10. Now I go straight across. 32 times 9 is 18, carry the 128. So I have 288 on top, 10 on the bottom. 288 divided by 10. 10 goes into 28 2 times. Bring down the 8. 10 goes into 88 8 times. At this point, I can make it a mixed number and say 28 and 8/10, 28 and 4/5. Or I can add a decimal and a 0. 10 goes into 80 8 more times. And look, I got the same answer both ways. So, change this to a decimal by hopping backwards twice and multiply, or do two fractions. It's always out of 100, and here's my second number. Cross cancel if you can. Straight across. You'll have to do some division probably, mixed number, or a decimal in the end. Either one is good. So you decide which method do you like. All right, your next question, 15% of 110. Work it out however you want to work it out, this method or this method. Push pause, work it out, then push play and see if you got the right answer. The answer is 16.5, 16 5/10. So let's look and see how I worked it out. I changed 15% into 0.15 because I hopped backwards twice. 1 hop, 2 hops. Multiply, because that's what of means, 110. I put 110 on top because it felt right. I got 16.50, but I wrote 16.5. Two fractions. I made 15 over 100 times 110. Cross canceled. Multiplied my numerators. That made 165. Multiply my denominators. It's improper, so I've got to divide 16.5. All right, try this one. This one is weird because the percent is over 100, but that won't matter. If you want to hop backwards twice, 2.75 times 8, or 275 over 100. That looks weird, but it's still over 100 because percents are out of 100, times 8 over 1. So work out whichever method you want, push pause, work it out, then hit play and see if you're right. The answer is 22. So did you do the first method, multiply with decimals? At the very end count, you get 22.00. I just dropped the zeros and said 22. Did you cross cancel? Divide by 4, that makes 2. Divide by 4, that makes 25. Numerators make 550. Here's my scratch work. Denominators make 25. Oh shoot, it's improper. Here's my division. Either way, I get 22. Let's try a really tiny percent. 0.6% of 36. Well, hop backwards twice. So this is the decimal multiply option. And I get 0.006 times 36, or why am I calling it two fractions? Well, I guess it is two fractions. Okay, because the other fraction's over 1. The two fractions and multiply method, which is 0.6 over 100. I know that looks weird. We're going with the blue. We're not doing any hopping. We're just saying exactly what the blue is, 0.6 over 100 times, instead of saying 36, we're saying 36 over 1. Cross canceling if we can. Multiply your tops, multiply your bottoms. Push pause, work it out, push play and see if you're right. The answer is 0.216, 216 thousandths. So I did the multiply. I did 30, I put my 36 on top, and I just sort of forgot about this and put 6 on the bottom. I got this answer in purple, and then I went back and counted 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I put my decimal up front. In this method, I divided by 4 and got 9, divided by 4 and got 25. 0.6 times 9 is 54, but the decimal's in the middle, so it's 5.4. 25 times 1. Then I took this and I divided, and I got the same thing, 0.216. All right, your Google Classroom questions are here. First one is a mental math question. Type in the answer to 25% of 40. Second question, what word did I tell you was the word that stands for multiply? Obviously, it's not the word multiply, but there was a word in the lesson that means multiply. And your third question, which method do you think is easier? So when we were doing the methods, we had a method on the left, we had a method on the right. Tell me which method you think you're going to probably use, and why do you think it's easier? Good luck.